My name is Jordan. I'm co-founder of Cacao Source. I've been passionate about cacao for years. I've been living here in Central America for about 8 years now and traveling in different regions and different communities. I run a social business that sources, transforms and distributes cacao in the whole world. And I'm very interested in the topics of Mayan traditional agroforestry and how it is now becoming a model of sustainability. I'm not surprised that nowadays there's a global, very multicultural movement of reawakening of the ceremonial uses of cacao. They echo what we know about the history of how cacao was used here in Mesoamerica. And it's funny because most people all around the world, they love chocolate, and yet they have no idea about the history of cacao. It became a commodity crop in the consumer market all around the world. So now cacao is known by the whole world as chocolate, as like a candy. And it's no surprise that it is being rediscovered as a medicine food, as a sacred plant.
Mi nombre es Juan Carlos Chan, soy contador del tiempo. Pienso que la mayoría de personas consumen el chocolate. El problema es que lo consumen en diferente preparación. Porque si vemos en una tienda, en un supermercado, hay chocolate. Es el chocolate que está hecho a base del cacao, pero ya está procesado, o sea, ya tiene otros medicamentos, ya tiene otros sustentos más, ya lo mezclan, ya no es la pura viva y en ciencia, ya no es la pura masa del chocolate.
My name is Mariana Bandera. I study anthropology and archaeology, and I've been invited to teach space holding for Cacao Source. Studying the Tonalpowali and the Cholquij calendrical systems, it's the way to live in sacred harmony with life. It's something that has completely transformed my life.
Odilia Maribel Lopez Zavala, vengo de Santa Lucía, Otatlán. Lo importante es conservar la naturaleza, respetar la naturaleza, porque de eso vivimos, de eso estamos.
The ceremonial cacao movement is rooted, is based, is anchored in the resurgence and the reawakening of Mayan wisdoms. If you look at the main actors, or the first actors, or how the ceremonial cacao movement evolved, you will see that it finds its roots in wisdom keepers and them being able to speak, being able to transmit. And it's no surprise that the wisdom keepers being able to speak more publicly, being more recognized, being more respected happens simultaneously as the beginning of a multicultural global ceremonial cacao movement. This is completely coherent with the resurgence of Mayan wisdom.
And I think this is something that we're seeing cross-culturally here in the Americas. People wanting to connect back to the authentic ways. And cacao has had her own agenda through all of this.
Cacao es libre y vuela y se va donde sea, ya no solo en Guatemala, sino que también en otros países donde vaya a dar felicidad también, porque es una armonía, es una tranquilidad y es una medicina que va en otros países con otros hermanos también.
There's a nourishment not only on a material form, but it's on an energetic, it's on a soul, it's on so many different levels that she can touch us. There's a whole invitation there to learn the ways in which she speaks to us, the ways in which she's taught all of our ancestors how to cultivate her, how to, make her into a drink that we can process within our blood.
So when we talk about Mayan Cosmovision, we are definitely speaking into its contemporary form, its nowadays form of legacy and transmission that are blooming in different cultures. Very multicultural, very much happening. It's very significant, I believe. And then, on the other hand, there is the history of the Mayan wisdom, its history goes back thousands of years. After all, this legacy, it's a very diverse and multicultural legacy as well, historical legacy, that finds some homogeneous traits. You will find aspects of cohesion, and those are the pillars of the legacy of Mayan Cosmovision. Those pillars are like reciprocity, is the importance of the connection to nature and the respect for nature. And one of the core pillars that you find everywhere, all around this continent, at every moment of this very, very long time, like we're talking thousands of years, maybe 10,000 years of legacy, right? One of these pillars is corn and cacao together.
Anteriormente, sea en el siglo, ya cuando muy existieron nuestros antepasados, pues el cacao ha sido uno de los elementos muy esenciales y hasta hoy en día se utiliza. Hasta hoy en día es muy importante, es muy tradicional. En cualquier actividad, en cualquier convivio, en cualquier celebración, cumpleaños, bodas, el cacao no ha perdido su tradición.
En la actualidad el cacao viene a dar una felicidad, es una pieza importante en el hogar, es una pieza importante a la familia.
El cacao es un elemento muy esencial, tanto aparte de que es para una convivencia, también es para una medicina.
Es medicina, viene dando también esa medicina curativa a las mujeres.
It's not just the Mayan cosmovision, it's all of the Mesoamerican cultures have this huge pillar around cacao. These sacred trees hold all of the stories of the ancestors. You know, there are ancestors who are giving us fruit back to the children. And there's a reciprocity with that, of taking care of them and receiving from them, not only the trees, but the whole ecosystem that the trees have.
When I talk about the Mayan fruit forest legacy, I'm talking about a variety of understanding of how to connect with nature and create social model based on our respect and understanding of nature. And the Mayans, but more broadly, American traditions have had that very integrated in their culture, in their civilization throughout for thousands of years, and we are trying to be inspired to learn from it and implement it as a modality of proactive reforestation. A modality of reforestation or diversity conservation in critical areas where the soil is so rich, where the climatic context is so good that the lands are exposed to speculation and to interest, capitalist interest, and we are very interested in learning from this beautiful ancient model to protect those areas, those high value, very abundant area, and support mechanisms, socioeconomic mechanisms that allow to preserve those areas, their diversity, to preserve those forests pretty much. Because we have a great problem here in tropical areas, it's the desertification. And this desertification has a name, it's caused by industries, certain industries like sugar and palm oil that have been so established in their monocrop, in their monoculture, industrial, massified design, they became almost the norm. They became what we see the most in places where we should be seeing incredible forests with gigantic trees and immeasurable diversity of life. Legacy of Mayan forest right now is a great solution to them. I love to see the history of Mayan Cosmovision as a beautiful legacy of love. Why do I say it's a legacy of love? Because it's a legacy that teaches us true reciprocity.
The reciprocity part of culture is something that's actually very from here, and not just here, it's earth-based cultures. Like every single ancestral cross-cultural cosmovision has this as like a pillar. Reciprocity is key, and we call it reciprocity, but more than anything, it's giving thanks, giving gratitude for your life.
Also because it's a legacy that welcomes diversity. It's a non-dogmatic, non-imperialist. It's a very inclusive legacy. In that legacy of love, cacao is definitely one of the pillars. We find cacao in many different spaces of the Mayan Cosmovision as one of the fundamental crops. And it is often positioned, presented as one thing, like, oh, cacao was money, or cacao was a food for the elite, for this or that kind, or cacao was like for this kind of ceremonies. But truth is, like, the history is very vast. The history of Mesoamerica is thousands of years, so many different civilizations and cultures, and they all had cacao and corn as one of their pillars. And so my point here is that cacao, yes, was medicine, but it was also food, you know. It was also a part of agriculture, like very advanced agricultural model, very wise agricultural models.
Yeah, she's a master plant. She teaches us something. And I think that, you know, if we're wanting to share cacao, I think going to the source and going straight to the trees and receiving. And so I think there's an invitation here for anyone who wants to share this medicine because she just transformed you, to come and meet the Mayans, right? And meet the people and meet the sacred hands that work cacao.
One of the most prominent teachings of cacao has been to honor diversity. It makes sense because cacao thrives in very diverse ecosystems, maybe some of the most diverse ecosystems. It is a highly symbiotic plant. And also, cacao is really rich and it has a wide spectrum of effects on the human body. And also, cacao is extremely diverse in its genetics. That's why you will see a wide diversity of shapes and colors in the same cacao forest. I believe that cacao is now helping us to re-honor diversity. We need diversity. And I think cacao comes in our generation, in our era right now, and in this very specific moment of human history. You know, cacao comes out as a reminder, as a friend, you know, standing up from its quiet forests, whispering to us, hey, you need diversity, you want diversity. Diversity is abundance. Diversity makes you rich. Diversity is true wealth for the people.